This is awesome. I feel like we're like the Brady Bunch right
We
now.
are now.
Oh yeah.
It's
Well,
a lovely
first-
lady. Da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da.
And he's singing for us, even better.
That's it. That's all you get.
We want more. No, so honestly, thank you so much for being here tonight. You know what? I mean, Jess and I love you. We go back forever. Like, we know you now, and this is great. And so it's just an honor for us to see you because it's been forever.
It has. It's been forever. Like,
Because you're globetrotting, which is super cool.
yeah, I'm globetrotting. Well, I used to be globetrotting. No one's traveling right
No
now.
one's globetrotting right now. But that's why these developed. We started looking at, now we have Nicole Forgione is coming on.
Hey,
Yay!
Nicole.
Yay! She
Hi,
connected
Nicole.
us back in the day.
Hello.
Nicole, I like your headdress.
I know, it does. It looks like
You look
you're
like a
wearing crown.
queen. Like a queen with your thing
Oh,
coming out
yeah,
of
it
your...
does. All right. Well,
Wow.
Sorry,
Wait, let me see what I got here. Hold on. What can I do?
He's
Hold on.
got props.
I'm gonna put a star.
what in the world?
I've got
What do you think?
Funko.
Should I just put this right here?
He's got a
There you
star.
go.
Oh, there you go. Yeah. Dallas. Nice
Dallas.
lid, dude. Nice lid. All right,
Oh
good.
my gosh.
You're all too much.
Oh, they got rid of theirs.
This is great. No.
Nice
So
to
this
see
kind
you.
of group.
Nice to see you, Nicole.
I know.
Oh, nice seeing you.
No, I miss you.
Man, oh man, I miss you guys.
Yeah,
Been
we
too
miss
long.
you.
Yeah, we miss you, man.
But
How's
so-
it going in Hollywood?
right?
Everybody?
Hollywood is probably the same as everywhere else right now. It's, everything's kind of shut down and quiet, and there's no production really. I mean, there's a few things. They wanted me to record the Digimon movie from home, and so there's still a few things happening, but it's quiet, and we've been home. We haven't really left except for a few store runs for a month. So, thank God for bikes. We've been riding back and forth with my two little boys. I have a 5 and 7-year-old for the people that don't know. And so we've been madly riding our bikes back and forth between, 10 houses on the street. And, but yeah, just trying to keep moving.
It's such a weird time.
How are you guys there? Is it same thing? Has everybody been home for a month?
Oh,
Yeah.
yeah.
I don't even know what day it is anymore.
Me too. They're all coming together.
They all come together, and it's been so weird. I mean, New York City is a hot mess, which I'm sure you've seen.
Yes.
But that stuff slowly trickling downstate. So this kind of the ideas of opening things up when we haven't really seen the bulk of it yet is kind of terrifying.
Yeah, it's terrifying. Any governor that's given the green light is a big thumbs down as far as I'm concerned.
Agreed.
No, we all gotta shut it down for another 2 weeks, and hopefully the virus goes away. But if you have this round robin of states opening, it's just gonna be this. It's just gonna go back and forth and all around and come back and anyway, I'm no medical expert, but yeah, it's hard to be home, but it's I'm kind of hoping that it goes away and people make the right choice.
Yeah.
We'll
So
see.
the New York governor extended everything to be closed until May 14th, May 15th?
Yeah, we're May
Yeah, you got
15th.
correct.
We're
Yeah.
May 15th too.
Yeah.
This is tea, guys. Cheers to everyone.
Cheers.
Cheers.
Oh, this is not child friendly. You can drink whatever you want.
So all right. So Marilyn joined us. What are you drinking, Marilyn? I look like a smoothie or something.
Oh no, that's a glass of milk because I made chocolate chip cookies.
For none of us, by the way. For none of us.
You are
Marilyn.
You can
Nice.
have yours
Killing me.
vicariously.
chocolate chip cookies. Zoom's gotta step up their game, and we gotta be able to pass things to
Virtual
each other.
cookies.
Chocolate chip
Yeah, but you get the
cookies.
vicarious thrill.
Now you're just bragging.
Oh, it's yummy.
No, even closer, even closer, even closer.
We need like the Willy Wonka teleporter thing.
Oh my
Yes.
God.
Yes.
But we
Yeah,
all
people
like,
everywhere.
like this giant cookie we'd have to have, to load it in.
Oh, that would be dreamy. Chocolate chip cookies are my absolute favorite. Hi,
Oh,
Jennifer.
are they? Oh.
So Jennifer, Marilyn, Nicole, Kat, Christopher, Greg, Jess,
What
two Marilyns. What are the chances? Dallas
Yeah.
and Tempany.
Yeah, Tiffany. And Janelle's in there too with Chris.
Oh yeah, hi
You gotta
Janelle.
change your name on there.
Hi, Janelle.
But we're super happy to have you. So one of the things that we noticed, and through conversations with inclusive theater, was that some of the things that are happening have happened to people with disabilities since forever, right?
Yes.
Like there were people that were told they couldn't work at home because it's too hard to get it accommodated, and then when everybody needs it, ta-da! It's magic. It happens. But we also started seeing that with theater stuff too. We don't always see accommodation. And started talking about it and said, why are we not talking about that inclusion in the arts during this time? Because now access has increased exponentially for everyone.
Yes.
And we hope it stays that way. So that's kind of how these Saturday night things developed. And then what we do is we meet a night before and talk about questions and things like that. But really, it's a conversation. We want to keep dialogue happening. And we're hoping that this idea of inclusion continues throughout. And, obviously the work that you've done with Kelly's Hollywood it's been groundbreaking. It's fantastic. I was watching again today, and every time I watch it, I cry, and I've seen it 5,000 times. But it's beautiful, and people need to see it. And, it was a no-brainer to have you here because you embody what we do at Inclusive Theater. And we're grateful for that because you're breaking barriers for us too. So thank you.
Well, thank you. Right back at you, man. It takes a village, as the old saying goes. And my sister wouldn't have done, couldn't have done anything without her village, and I can't do anything without my village. And it's a testament to who we all are that we're all on this Zoom. And right back at you. Thank you so much for the inclusive theater and making that happen in Buffalo. It's amazing opportunity for everybody there, and that's what it takes. It takes that go get 'em attitude, and sometimes you got to flex a little bit. And but it takes that's what it takes. As it takes grit, and nothing. The bar just keeps moving forward, and a lot of things have happened in the last 10 years, as we all know. Certainly in the last 5 years, just groundbreaking shows. And I just read an article. I'm friends with Gail Williamson, who's that big agent out here, who represents a lot of differently abled performers. And I mean, she's the guru. And but she just sent me an article. Zach from Peanut Butter Falcon, just got a development deal. And they're going to try to develop a show around him, which is
awesome,
brilliant. I mean, it's brilliant. So. We're moving the line, and it's never fast enough, and it's never as far as we want it to be, but that's okay. That just keeps us fighting, and we got to fight for the things that we want to happen, and nonviolent fighting.
We have enough of that happening around the country.
The Gandhi version of fighting for our rights, but yeah, and it takes this kind of thing. And so I'm thrilled that you guys are doing this Saturday nights. And I think it's for all of us. I mean, we long for that connection, right? And we still, I mean, that's the spice of life. That's what gets us all out of bed. And without it, it can be very, very trying, very difficult. So thank God for Zoom and FaceTimes and Skype, and just the fact that we have some sort of connection. I mean, it'd be better with chocolate chip cookies and glasses of milk.
Or other glasses of things.
Well, you guys know that I will make them for when we're all together.
She will do that. She will.
That does me no good.
We'll make sure
I will let you know
Brian.
when we're getting together, so you can come.
I want a care package.
Oh, all right.
We'll do it. We will do it.
No, it's okay. I vow to partake in the theater the next time I'm in Buffalo. So we'll make that happen.
Good.
Awesome. We'd love to have you come by.
I will make the cookies happen.
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, I'm going to then turn over questions to iTownie folks, because you guys wrote them and you have them ready to go.
Yeah, let's do it.
And right now, a couple people are muted. It's just because background noise. So just if you have something to say, you can unmute it and talk. We're just trying to keep it so all that feedback doesn't hit in, okay? So Dallas, you can lead the way.
Okay. Once again, thank you, Brian, for taking the time to join us and talk with us. So you, in your bio, you weren't really planning to make a movie about your sister. You were just filming some of her life. So what were those moments that sort of inspired you to help her realize her dream and also get this story and this message out?
Great question. Way to launch the questions, Dallas. Yeah, I as the bio states, I wasn't a filmmaker. I was a performer, and I've been fortunate enough to make my living that way in Hollywood. And so, when I started shooting my sister with a camera, it was just a little consumer camera, and I was just shooting her as a big brother, shooting, fun stuff that she did when she came to visit me, and some stuff in Buffalo, but a lot of stuff out here when she came to visit me for those couple months every year. And so that was probably in the late 90s. And then in the early 2000s, I started shooting her more and more. And in about 2003, I realized that I had never seen a story or a film like ours. I'd never seen that sibling relationship. And I wanted to really talk a lot about what I felt were the injustices of not allowing everyone to have the dignity of risking their dreams. A lot of times when we talk about those that are differently able, we talk about making them as independent as possible, which is an awesome goal. But often what is missing from the conversation is, what are your dreams? And I think that's it's what gets us all out of bed. I mean, we talk about the connection and those relationships we have, interpersonal relationships, but also really what gets us all out of bed is our dreams and what we want to accomplish and what we want to do, whether it's eating a chocolate chip cookie, later in the day, or making sure, maybe you do, maybe your dream is to do a one-person show on the inclusive theater stage, whatever it is. We all have dreams, and if we take those out of the equation, for people, whatever that dream is, and not all your dreams that can come true. I mean, and that's a big part of that equation. Like, we can't, we're not blind to the fact that, oh, okay, let's give everyone the opportunity to dream. With that comes frustration. It comes, comes sometimes depression and disappointment. Not all of them are going to come true. Not all of my dreams have come true, but at least having the opportunity to try, and setting people up with the opportunity to try. And I think what I saw with my sister is, I valued her dream, and she valued her dream. More importantly, she had these dreams, and I thought they were really important for people to see her shine that way. And so it was kind of a combination of, just shooting my sister as a brother, this one, thing. And then as I accumulated footage, I realized I'd never seen a story of that intimacy between siblings. And then it was the other side of it, which was wanting to accomplish this dream for my sister, for her to realize that dream, and for people to see her for her realized self, her best self, the part that I saw, and not just the label and the stuff from afar that is too easy to do, and we all do it. But she was way more than that. We're all way more than the labels, right? And these stereotypes. And so I think it was really important. So anyway, to answer your question, to make a long story short, in about 2003, I started shooting her with a little more intention, which just means that I started thinking, wow, maybe this would make a cool movie someday. And then it was in 2006 when we did the live show, if you've seen the film, where we did this live show where she was the star and I was the talk show host. And so that was really the culmination, which is just a fancy word for, the climax to the dream and our story and our relationship. And it served a lot of purposes. But when we did that show, that's when I realized I thought I had a movie. That's when I realized I'd hoped that I had this trajectory that was worth watching, and not only our relationship, but also, again, someone realizing their dreams and being valued that way, to risk it, and to, because we didn't know how the show was going to come out. We didn't know if the dream was going to be realized. We just knew we had to try. And so that's a long answer to your very short question. But yeah, that was the idea. And that's where it came from. Great question though. Thanks, buddy. Oh, thanks, man.
Chris, you had a question?
Yeah. Hi. You've already touched on a couple different things that really made me think. You talked about the isolation that we're all kind of facing right now, which is sort of common often for people with disabilities and things like that. Like you know, I've been a full-time wheelchair user now for about five years after I have cerebral palsy, but after a knee replacement surgery gone awry, and I wasn't really prepared for that. So I got stuck in my house for a couple of years, basically, until some friends helped me build a ramp and things like that. And it kind of woke me up to what a lot of other people with disabilities face all the time, because relatively speaking, I was disabled, but also able to navigate relatively easily in a non-disabled world.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden I wasn't. So, you know, and that leads to the next thing you talked about: building community, building relationships, working together. And my friends came alongside me and were able to help break into that. And now you've talked about opportunity, but one of the things that with opportunity is tricky is, like, say for example, again, and I'm talking from a physical access standpoint, like most stages don't have ramps or access, especially when you're not playing big places where you have a behind the stage access, but something where you would come up from the front. For example, I play drums also, and I can't go on a stage to do a gig because I can't get on most stages in clubs in Buffalo. So how do we begin to break down? I mean, you talk again about opportunity. How it's good to build these connections, and people, I think, kind of get it, and maybe now they'll get it a little bit more. At least that's my hope, now that everybody's kind of seen this isolation, that will recognize the importance of not leaving anyone behind. But how do we push through some of these other barriers? How do we take a step forward even more from where we are now, once we're finally able to get back out in the real world, I guess, so that we don't get left behind again once everybody else can go on? Do you know what I mean? Does that make sense?
Yeah, no, absolutely. Look, I mean, there's no easy answer to that, you know, and we've been fighting this fight for so many years. You know, I don't know, does anybody see the documentary recently that's on, I think it was Netflix, Crib Camp? Has anybody seen that?
Yep.
Yeah, it's a Dynamite documentary, and you know, and they talk. I mean, my God, that fight was decades in the making, right? And we're still fighting it. To your point, I mean, there's still venues that don't have, you know, wheelchair accessibility, and certainly on their stages, and you know, and so this is a fight that continues, and it's a fight that will continue until all of these things are, you know, wheelchair accessible. But I think, you know, what I've seen in my lifetime, and certainly what I think, you know, Crip Camp really illustrated wonderfully, was the fact that there's real power in numbers, you know, and just, I mean, look at us here right now. I mean, there's what, 3 times 4, 12 of us, and maybe some people that I can't see, you know, but there's 12 of us banding together, you know, and we have this connection, and there's many more of you I know as part of the theater. And so, you know, if there's a venue that, you know, for instance, is one example, if there's a venue that you really want to perform in, you know, maybe you guys all show up at that doorstep and say, hey, what is it going to take to get a ramp in here? You know, what is it going to take for a guy like me to be able to perform on your stage? And those are conversations that start, they might not have even ever considered it because no one's ever asked them. And if you just make them aware of it, that might be enough. Maybe not. And then you go further. You say, well, look, you know, what's it going to take? And then they answer you, or they don't answer you. And if they don't answer you, then you show up with your 12 friends that are all here. and you say, hey, what's it going to take? And then if that doesn't work, you get 12 more friends and you say, hey, what's it going to take? I mean, you know, I don't mean to make light of it in any way, shape, or form, but really,
I understand.
Numbers are powerful. And visibility. I mean, you know, the one thing that I say a lot when I speak around the country and around the world is visibility is everything. Just exposing people to us is everything. And that really is all I ever tried to do with my sister. I just made sure that my sister was in the room with me. And the power of that alone was transformative for most people. And it was just exposure. It was exposure to seeing my sister on her terms as a fully realized person. And that changed people's attitudes. It changed people's perceptions. It changed people's, their hearts, I mean, frankly.
Right.
Um, and you know that. I mean, and look, not everybody's going to respond to you. You know, we still have hangups. We still have people that don't know what to do with people in wheelchairs. You know, we still have people that don't know what to do with people, you know, with flowers in their hair, Jess.
Hey.
You know, and so these, you know, we have to work with those people. We have to give them a little extra exposure. And then we slowly start to change them. But look, I think, you know, whether you're differently abled or not, I mean, we all have, there's going to be an adjustment period after this. I mean, regardless, and we're all going to have to fight for things that we had before this and things that we want after this, pandemic or otherwise. I mean, I have lost work for the next 6 months. I don't even know what my career is going forward after this, you know, because almost everything I do is with groups. I perform with groups. I record with groups. My speaking engagements are with groups. And so I don't know what it's going to look like for me either. I think we just have to keep our fingers crossed. We have to stay positive and hopeful. And I think that we can't forget each other. And there's power in teammates, you know? And I think, you know, again, I think it goes back to that, and just finding that support, finding the people that cheer you on, which is a big part of my film and a big part of what I talk about, is finding your cheerleaders. You know, find people that cheer you on and know you and your best self and encourage you, you know, to pursue those dreams and goals again, you know. And if you have a goal, you got to fight for it. Those dreams take a lot of effort. They take a lot of grit. And they take a lot of blood, sweat, and tears. I mean, nothing comes easy, especially those big, beautiful dreams that we have. There's no fast track and there's no shortcut. I mean, you know, people ask me all the time, oh, you should write a book, you know, about your experience and your dream. Like, you made this movie, like you did it. And I said, honestly, it would be like that. Did anybody see The Shining, which is a very scary movie, but you know, that you know, that scene where Jack Nicholson writes the same sentence over and over again. I would say that. I would say, you know what? You got to work your ass off, because that's what I would write. You got to work your butt off. You got to work your butt off. You got to work your butt off, because that's the dream. You know, you see all the time, all the shine and all the glitter and the trophies and the red carpets and the fancy cars. That's not the dream. The dream is the hard work. And there's exceptions, of course. But, you know, really, I can tell you from experience and observation with other friends that have realized a dream, there's no shortcuts. It's just a lot of hard work, for advocacy work, for rights, for ramps and stages. It's all just a lot of hard work. You know, I'm not going to sugarcoat it. I wish I could, but you know that. I mean, you know.
I get what you're saying. Even to go back to your example of Crip Camp, like, that didn't happen overnight. It got shut down. It got shut down. They didn't want to do it. They weren't going to do it. The guy wouldn't show up. He sent somebody else in his place. They showed up again. You know, they had the Black Panthers come alongside them and say, okay, we're going to support you. We're going to lift you up now here too. And they're like, why are you doing it? And they're like, because you're fighting. Yeah. You know? And then they wouldn't go away long enough. And I mean, I think about the Capitol crawl, which I think was in the movie too, where, you know, I always think about there was the little kid going up the stairs, and the little kid was the one who was like, I don't care if it takes me all night, you know. And I'm like, and
so
I'm like,
good. So good.
If anybody doesn't, I'm thinking, but you know, I was like, oh, because that means I got to crawl up the stairs too. You know, that's
you know, maybe for a little longer. You know, it's we're all crawling. You know, there's days that we feel like we're running and sprinting. There's days we feel like we're crawling. There's days we don't feel like we can get out of bed. You know, and every day is different, right? I mean, some days are more hopeful than others, and you know, it just depends on what's going on in the world and our own individual lives. You know, that's why I love that song, Joy, Pain, Sunshine, Rain. You know, I'll even sing it for you. Ready? Joy and pain like sunshine and rain. All right, whatever.
Keep it going. Keep it going.
Yeah. Give me a beat. Give me a beat. I'm not a singer, but you know, there's weekdays and weekends, right? I mean, it's just a roller coaster ride, man. There's you know, joy and pain and sunshine and rain.
No, Joy Green is going to go.
Yeah, if anybody doesn't know, if you should try to find Crip Camp. It's on Netflix, right, or Amazon?
Yeah, Netflix.
Netflix, yeah. It's a wonderful documentary, and it really does. It's a timeline of a rich history and about the rights that we've gotten in the ADA, and it's amazing. It all started. It's the reason it's called Crip Camp is it started at this camp back in the early 60s, 70s. I think it started in the 40s. But this core group from this camp as kids, when they became older as adults, they became like these titans of advocacy and really were instrumental in getting the ADA passed and not only passed but actually utilized. Because that was the thing, right? I mean, they passed all this nonsense, and then of course no one executed it, and they made excuses on not putting ramps in. They made excuses for all this stuff that we've still, again, for decades have had to still fight for, even though it's the law. But yeah, anyway, I'm talking too much, but yeah. Anybody else got a question?
Yeah, this is Janelle. Kind of jumping off from there, and we've seen shows on TV and movies and things like that of actors playing people with disabilities, even though they don't have a disability. And I'm just curious what your thoughts are on that and how we can change that and get more people with disabilities actually involved in playing the roles, and what you've seen and where you see that going.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's changing. I mean, and we know it's changing. I mean, there's a lot more. I mean, Gail, as I referred to earlier, she's the Titan agent out here for differently abled performers, and when she started, I think she said they made, and this is just on commissions, and this is just numbers. I mean, numbers are arbitrary, right? But really, it illustrates how much it's changed. Her department, her differently abled department at her agency was her for years. And the first year in accounts receivable, essentially, so her clients were able to work and bill for, I think her first year was $18,000, which means all of her actors that were differently abled made about $18,000 for the department. This year, her department now is 4 people, and they've made $3 million. $3 million of differently abled performers have worked. And that includes commercials and film and television and a lot of different things, but $3 million. So things are changing. They're getting better for the differently abled performer. Does that mean it's perfect? Does that mean it's, no, I mean, of course not. We have a long way to go. But the good news is Gail says she's getting more and more calls every single day. There's a real awareness. There's also backlash for, as you noted, regular actors, typical actors, whatever you want to call them. There's a backlash now. And so they're not taking these roles. And when they do, they're getting beat up pretty hard, and then they back out of the projects. I mean, that happened to, what's her name? Oh my gosh, what's her name? She was in Marriage Story, and she's one of the Avengers.
Oh, Scarlett Johansson.
Yeah, Scarlett.
Yeah.
Yeah, so she took a role as a transgender, I think, and she got so much backlash from that that she stepped out of the project. Her argument at the time was, well, I'm an actor and I should be able to play, that's what actors do. We play, and that was my intention, and my intentions were pure. Why isn't that okay too? And a lot of actors feel that way, I mean, that's what we do, right? I mean, you guys, we all want to play different things, we don't want to play a version of ourselves. We want to, we want the goods. We want to do, all these different performances. And so there's argument for that, but I think there is a paradigm shift. I mean, there's a real shift out here of it not being okay. If you can find a transgender, if you can find someone in a wheelchair, if you can find someone that has autism, then let's do it, and I think the intentions are getting more pure. And I think they're realizing that there's a lot of talent. As you guys all know, there's a lot of talented performers that are differently abled. And so the more exposure, again, goes back to exposure, you know, the more it's just gonna, you know, that trajectory and that line is just gonna keep getting better and better and more full. And you know, Gail has a wonderful when she speaks, she talks about it a lot, and she goes, I hope one day that I don't have a job. And by that she means I don't want there to be a differently abled department at an agency. I don't want to be a differently abled agent. I just want to be an agent that represents people that are performers too. And it's great. It's wonderful. And that is a wonderful dream and goal. And someday that will happen. And hopefully it happens sooner than later. But what, you know, again, just to clarify, what she means is, you know, at some point, fingers crossed, sooner than later, that we're all just performers, you know, and we're all going to have limitations, you know. There's things I cannot play because I'm a white guy that's 53 years old. I'm not going to play a 16-year-old girl. You know, but you know, of course, there's always going to be, you know, barriers to what we can or can't do, and limitations to what we can or can't do. But at some point, hopefully sooner than later, everyone's just going to be a performer. You're going to all audition for the things that you know might be right for, and may the best performer win, you know?
Thank you.
Yeah.
It kind of goes back to your earlier point too about sometimes, you know, if you don't get a positive response, you bring some of your friends and then bring some of your friends. And you talked about the backlash now, because I know some of the, you know, in fact, I am one of those disability advocates that are out there, you know, saying things to people, saying this isn't right, you know, but I know a lot of the other people that are doing it too. And, you know, the response, as you mentioned, just even in the last couple of years is, you know, considerable. Like when things like that happen and they say, wait a second, you know, why aren't we being fairly represented here? So there's a lot of other noise that up until a few years ago, maybe was easily overlooked.
Yeah. Yeah, no, it's absolutely true. And I think, I mean, look, you know, going back to Zach, you know, from Peanut Butter Falcon, you know, the fact that he has a development, you know, that's amazing, you know, and it's only because we're finally seeing the value of everyone. And that's a, you know, that's a real tribute to all the work that we're all doing. I mean, it really is. I mean, it's a real testament to everything that we're doing. And if we keep doing it and you guys keep performing on that stage in Buffalo, and we keep this conversation going, you know, it's only going to go further. You know, again, we're just going to keep pushing that line further and further. And Zach's not going to be the only one with a development deal. There's going to be many, many more. And it really is just finally now that, you know, the rest of the world is seeing the value of Zach, and not just as someone with Down syndrome who just happened to get, you know, no, he's an amazing actor, and he's being valued as an amazing actor, and not some, you know, young man with Down syndrome and let's have a pity party and give him a chance. No, he's unbelievable. You know, and there's a lot of Zachs in the world that are just waiting for their opportunity. You know, and you know, and that's the reality. But it's getting better, I promise you, you know. And there's also a reality to it too, you know. I mean, we all have dreams, but again, you know, not all our dreams are going to come true. You know, as Gail says, you know, there's a lot of people that approach her and like, oh my gosh, my daughter, I'm a great actor too, and I'm differently abled, but you know, you got to have the secret sauce. You know, you know, not everyone's going to make it. I mean, the numbers just aren't there. You know, I've had some successes in my life, but I've also had a lot of failures. I mean, I'm not, you know, I'm not on a TV show, you know, well, I mean, on some cartoon series, but, you know, I never landed the TV series, you know, I never, you know, I've swung at so many balls and, you know, I've hit some and I've struck out a lot. You know, I haven't been right for things. I have been perfect for things and I still don't get them. I mean, you know, it's just a numbers game. But you have to create opportunity for yourself. And if you truly are a performer, and that's how you identify yourself as a performer, then you got to perform all the time. I mean, it's a muscle, and you got to be ready, because at some point there's going to be an opportunity for you, locally or otherwise. And if you're ready and you have kept that muscle conditioned, meaning your performance muscle, you know, then why not you? You know, Why not you? And that's what I say to everybody. There is no reason it can't be you.
You know, it's interesting, and I'll stop talking after this too, because I talk a lot. I'm super extroverted. So, but do you know Galen Lee? Do you know who Galen Lee is? She's a violinist. She actually played at the Self Advocacy Network last year, and has
Yeah, I
been.
know of her. I don't know her personally, but I know of her. Yeah.
But right, well, I met her here in Buffalo with a bunch of the other folks that are even here right now. And I had a conversation with her, like she mentioned Crip Camp in a Facebook post, and one of the things that I said about it that I've talked about a lot since it's come out is, you know, it's great that people like Judith or like Ed Roberts out in California, whatever, when he was around and all that, you hear about them, but there's a whole bunch of other people that we'll never know their names, but they were no less significant in the fight forward. And the same thing, like, you know, I may not get to California, but that doesn't mean I can't be productive on a stage in Buffalo, you know, and things like that. That's still acting. It's still, you know, you're still out there doing it. It just, you know, we're all going to be in different places at different times. That's how it works.
Absolutely. I mean, look, I say all the time, I just happened to make a movie about my sister. But I could make a documentary about everyone. I mean, everyone I see right here. If you gave me the right access to your life and I picked up a camera, everyone has a story to tell. You know, everyone's had this remarkable life, this remarkably challenging lives. And that's the story, you know, and we all have a story to tell. And I could make a documentary about every single person here. I just happen to make one about my sister. But that's the value. And I think, you know, like sometimes we forget that if we're not in Hollywood or we're not in a movie or we haven't done some groundbreaking thing, that we haven't brought value to the world. No. I mean, the value is in the day-to-day and everyone just doing their thing and being their best selves, you know, because really, at the end of the day, we so often have no idea the ripple that we're creating in the world. And I promise you that ripple far exceeds, goes much farther than you ever thought possible. You have affected people's in your life. I mean, you know, you got some gray beard too. So I know you've been around for a while.
I'm also 53.
Yeah. Oh, nice. Cheers. But you know, if you've lived long enough, the lives you have affected is profound. And that ripple goes on and on. I saw it with my sister. I mean, I've seen it everyone. I've toured all over the world. And I can tell you that everyone has this remarkably profound effect in the world. And often we don't even know it. But we are changing lives, you know, and you're, especially as an artist, as a performer, you're changing lives. You're making the world a better place. And yeah, you know, again, you don't have to be the rock star or the person that's profiled in Crip Camp to make a difference in the world, or to perform, as you say. You don't have to be out here. Believe me, some of the best performers aren't even in Hollywood or LA. You know, they're sprinkled around the country. They're sprinkled about the world, doing community theater, doing summer camp theaters, doing regional stuff, inclusive theater. I mean, you know, I promise you, you know, having sadly not seen any of your stuff yet, but I'm pretty sure there's been award-winning performances on your stage. And you know, and that's a testament to a true artist. You know, that's the artist. If you're an artist, you live and breathe the artist's life. I mean, that's just, and it doesn't matter where you are or what stage you're on. You know, you're a performer if you're doing it, and if that's what wakes you up and gets you out of bed. And that's the beauty of it, you know, because if you wait for the accolades or the shine or the fancy car or the trophy, it's a life wasted, because that's not it, you know.
Or for permission. You can't wait for permission.
Can't wait for permission.
And that's part of what we're doing is, you know, we're saying we're just doing this. We don't care, you know, what anyone thinks about it, except we want it to be good, you know. And what we've done has been good. The last big thing we did was Shakespeare. And we, you know, A Midsummer Night's Dream, and I had never seen it as a play. I had never read it. I used to, I wasn't a great student in school till later in my life, so I kind of missed that class. But I got to see it after we did it at Inclusive. I got to see it at Kleinhans, and some of the best actors in Buffalo were doing it. And I sat there completely blown away by how well we did.
Yeah.
Because I was comparing the performances and how it was put together. And yeah, they had better scenery, although ours was beautiful, Kat. But it was amazing. And what people were able to do on that stage, you know, Jess played Titania. And Jess, I got to tell you, Alex played Titania, and the performances were comparable. You know, I thought you did that well. It was a big eye opener for me to have apples and apples to compare it to.
Yeah.
You know, but unless you're out doing it, nobody's going to think you can do it. So you just have to get up and do it, even if nobody shows up.
Yeah.
And we've been there too, where just a few people showed up, but we kept doing it. And then, you know, the first play we did, by the end of the run, a lot of people were showing up, and we got a good review, you know? So, you know, what kills me about what's going on is people who want to take things apart don't have any clue, because normally they're not the people who put things together.
Yeah, right.
You know, there are destroyers, and they have no idea what it took to put together what you see. And, you know, I didn't have a background in that. In the later part of my life, I started to work in nonprofits, and I saw what it took to put something together. And then I've been involved with Inclusive from the beginning, and what it's taken to put it together is the hardest work I've ever done.
Yeah.
And I've had some hard jobs, you know?
Yeah.
So, you know, I really appreciate what you're saying. And I'm going to post something. One of my, because I did advocacy too. And I have a son with autism. And one of my favorite quotes is one by T.S. Eliot. And I'm going to paraphrase it. But we fight not because we're assured of winning. We fight to keep something alive in us.
Yeah.
You know, and
Beautiful.
that kept me going for
Yeah.
many years when I couldn't get him what he needed. And why does it have to be this hard? And he's 37 and I'm still going through it,
Yeah.
you know? And it's never going to end. It's just never going to end. But I do, it does keep, I've spent all day working on a brief, you know, for my son.
Yeah.
I'm not a lawyer, but I can't get a lawyer to do it. And
Yeah.
before I walk away from it, it's going to get done.
Yeah.
You know?
Yep.
So, you know, I'm still doing it, but I was fired up today. And that's what I see happening with Inclusive. And it doesn't matter if you make it. It doesn't matter if you get to Hollywood. It doesn't matter, because you need the hope of getting there. Getting there could be an anticlimax.
Yeah.
You know,
yeah.
but
No,
to take
absolutely.
somebody's hope away and say, we're not putting you in drama because we don't think you can do it. But when you take your place and say, well, I'm going in that club anyway, because I don't need your permission.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
we have to take our place. Power is never given. Power, I just going to CSE meetings, I've learned this. Power is that you have to take it.
Yeah.
Nobody ever gives it to you.
Yeah.
Nobody.
Yeah.
You know,
No, it's
not even white
right.
men. You know,
Yeah.
they have to take their power too.
Yeah.
And that's what we do.
Yeah. Yeah. No, it's exactly right. Yeah.
Keeping
Don't
the
wait for
dream
permission.
alive.
Just, you know, perform, and don't wait for permission to do it. You know, and if you have to
Yep.
do it on a street corner with a tin can, go for it.
Right. That's right.
Yeah. You know, I mean, let people know who you are.
Yes.
But well, good for you. And shout out to moms. If my film is anything, it's an homage to mothers. So
Yeah. Thank you.
yeah, no, really.
Good to meet you.
Yeah, you too, Marilyn. I can't wait to try your chocolate chip cookie someday.
Oh, they were good. I fed the whole crew last year.
Ah, nice. Well done.
Yeah.
Well, Nicole, how are you? Oh, can you unmute? Uh-oh, she's unmuting. Hold on. She's
I
technically.
think
Oh,
Jess
hi, you're
and,
there. You're there. You're good.
okay, I think Jess and Jen had a question. I can see it in the chart, so I don't
Oh,
want to
okay. I don't have a
take from
chart.
them. Yeah, or from the chat here.
Oh, the chat chart. Oh, the chat.
Yeah,
Okay,
sorry.
yeah. What's the question? Sorry.
All right. Here's one of these questions. People with, am I muted or not? Okay, no.
No, you're good.
People with disabilities have lived and excluded work has now become modified due to necessity because of COVID-19. How and now and in the future do we maintain this inclusion in the arts? How do we work together to continue this momentum? And what does it look like?
Whew, that is a good question. I think everyone's asking that same question. And again, I don't think it's I really, truly, I think everybody's asking that question right now, especially performers. I mean, you've seen some crazy stuff online now, that performers that are just trying to perform, or trying to get noticed, or trying to get attention, or trying to keep that flame alive. And what else I've noticed, which is really awesome, because I think it illustrates exactly what I'm talking about. What we've seen when we see people on, Zoom or on social media, and just like us right now, and even these talk show hosts, that are like, the Ellens and the Colberts and, all these talk show hosts, they're doing it from their house. And what I've realized is without the fancy flash and the lights and the makeup and the, the wardrobe specialist and they look just like us. You know what I mean?
Yes.
And
Absolutely.
they're not, I mean, they're still, they're pretty funny. They're okay. I mean, they're relatively good at what they do. But you also realize that they also got a little bit of lucky, because when they're at home, they don't look that special. They just look like us. And so I think that's really important to remember that we can all do it, and we all have something to offer. And the only thing I can suggest, if it's really important for you to keep that, that flame alive and performance alive during this, pandemic and being sequestered to our homes and quarantined, and is that you perform. You shoot little videos of yourself. You post them, on YouTube or other social medias, Instagram and the like, or TikTok and whatever. And you do 60-second monologues. You do whatever. Maybe you guys can do something really creative and fun. Like they've been passing like balls, or someone's throwing a ball and someone's catching it, and they're doing like these cool cut videos. You guys could do something like that too, where you guys are passing the monologue, and you do like a little thing from Shakespeare, if it's fresh because you did it, recently, Midsummer's, and maybe each one of you gets a little part of the monologue, and you're passing the baton of a Shakespeare baton, and you guys each have it, and then you splice it together, and you have this beautiful montage of your inclusive theater doing this monologue. It doesn't have to be Shakespeare, but it could be anything. It could be this conversation. It could be, hey, we don't want to be forgotten in this, and we're the inclusive theater of Buffalo, New York, and this is what we do, and this is who we are, and here's a little taste. And then you go into a monologue, and that's accessible, as accessible to you as they are to me. I mean, the only problem right now, really, is the fact that there's a saturation. There's so much content now, and everyone's doing it and trying to do it. So look, at the end of the day, we're all getting a little lost because everyone's online right now, and everyone's trying to do something. I can't tell you how many likes I've gotten in the last month for people starting new pages on Facebook, or new endeavors or whatever. And so that, the biggest hurdle we all have is just that there's a real saturation. Like, everyone's doing stuff right now. And so, we're just getting bombarded with all this stuff. Should that stop you from doing your own? Absolutely not.
No.
Are you going to get any traction? Are you going to get an audience? Are you going to have more than 11 likes? I don't know. maybe you do something viral and it goes to 1 million likes, and all of a sudden you have this incredible exposure that you never thought you'd have because you challenged yourself during this time to do something special or different, or have a true authentic message about who you are. Maybe it will challenge you in a way that you've never been challenged before, because you are frustrated. We're all frustrated because we're stuck at home. But that often, when we're at our most frustrated or our weakest state of like, oh, that's when we challenge ourselves to, you know, to think outside the box, to do stuff. And that comes from survival. It comes from necessity. And that often brings out some of the most incredible, you know, seismic shifts in the world. You know, when you trace almost everything that's changed the world, whether it's an invention or whatever, it comes from usually desperation, usually frustration and necessity, financial or otherwise. And so, yeah, maybe this is your little goose. By that I mean your little pinch to say, you have the power to do it. It's in your control, just like everyone. I mean, that really, if the pandemic has proven anything, it's the great equalizer. We're all in this together, and we all, you know, it's really up to you, you know, and you make choices for yourself. You have the power to do that. And so if you guys want to throw something together, or you want to post a monologue on YouTube, why not you know, and post it, you know, to whoever. Maybe you already have, but I mean, that's all you can do right now, unfortunately. But there's a lot of creative things you can do.
Well, yeah, go to your story about like how now, like everybody, it seems like we're all on the same page at this point, because now people know what it feels like to be socially isolated.
Yes.
I mean, people with developmental disabilities, all of us had dealt with social isolation.
Yes.
And we dealt with being excluded from people, even like in groups or outings. You know, it's always been that stigma that stays, because we were accustomed to this. I mean, for years, and you know, and people are like, this difficult, like I don't know how people do this. I'm like, if you walk into people with disability shoes, why don't you see how it feels? And now everybody knows how it feels. And yeah, it is difficult pretty much for people with non-disabilities. And I've seen all of it on social media, how everybody's reacting differently, mostly in a very sad way. All of us are. But,
well,
you know,
Jess, there's your monologue. I mean, you know, if you can spin it in a way that, you know, that communicates that, there's a beautiful monologue in there. I mean, there really is. There's a beautiful monologue. And if you talk about that as the great equalizer, this pandemic is the great equalizer, and that isolation that you're all feeling, I have felt that for a good part of my life. And maybe, and the key to a good monologue is personalizing as much as you can. Tell your story, and then pivot to, and I know you guys are all feeling this now, and I value you. I hear where you're coming from, but I also need you to know it's important for me to communicate that this is how I have felt for most of my life. And there's value in that. There's value that you guys are finally empathizing and understanding and getting a taste of what a lot of us in the you know, differently abled world have felt for a long time. There's a beautiful monologue in there. And there's no reason why you can't do it against a white wall or a black curtain or whatever, surrounded by flowers, and tell your truth. Tell your truth. Because there's something there, and it's beautiful, it's powerful. And honestly, I haven't seen it enough. I haven't heard that story yet during this pandemic. I mean, I've been aware of it because I'm aware of, you know, I have a lot of friends that are differently able, that have dealt with a lot of isolation in their life. So I'm more aware of it than most people, but there's a lot of people that don't even realize that. They don't realize it. And maybe that is the story that you guys need to tell, as inclusive theater or your own monologue or whatever. But there's real value to that. Going, hey, because, you know, look, a lot of celebrities gotten bashed recently because they're so out of touch. Like, you know, poor Ellen DeGeneres, you know, she feels like she's in jail, even though she's in a multi-million-dollar mansion with all the bells and whistles. And everyone went, whoa, you feel like you're in jail? Poor you. You're in a multi-million mansion. You got all the stuff and the bling and the wow. But there's a million celebrities saying this, like Justin Bieber just said, oh, I just want to acknowledge the people that are really hurting right now. I mean, I've worked really hard for what I have, but and that's fine, whatever. But they're not aware. They're not aware of what so many people are truly going through right now, or more importantly, what you have felt for a lot of your life, and that isolation that you're talking about. And maybe that's your monologue. That's your performance. That's your gift to the world. And I see a lot of people shaking their head right now. Maybe that's the message. Maybe that's what we're all doing here tonight. Maybe if I'm cheering you on, then Yahoo, because that's what I'm trying to do. That's the reason my film resonated with so many people. And the reason it did so well is because we told our truth. We told our story. We did nothing more or less. We told our truth. My sister and I just told the world who we were. And there was value in that because people resonated with a lot of the different themes in there. But all we did was tell our authentic selves. We shared it with the world, and it resonated with people. And if you do that too, it'll resonate with the world. And that's all you can ever do as a performer or otherwise, is tell your truth. Tell your truth.
Absolutely. We have a few more minutes left. We're going to go to Jen, then Nicole, then Greg.
All right. I'll try to keep my answers shorter. Who's going first?
Jennifer.
Jennifer.
Hi, Jennifer.
Thank you very much for being here. Very inspirational.
Well, I love it.
Unmute?
Thank you for being here. No, I hear you. Thank you for being here too. And I like your doggy. What's your doggy's name?
Harley.
Hi, buddy.
He's a lover. I had a quickie, really quick one. If you could do any project next, what's one of the, I'm sure you have a list longer than, we all have lists of things we want to do. Name one project that you would love to do if money and talent and, you could be out of quarantine was no object.
Wow, that's a great question. Yeah, I wish we had time to go around the horn and just everybody answer that, because I think it's a great question. I loved his show long ago, and basically profiled people, everyday heroes. And it was a really, really fun, sweet show. And I think I would love to create something like that because, as I said earlier, I can make a documentary about all you guys. And I think really the everyday heroes are the ones that should be celebrated the most. It's just like people say all the time. It's like, why aren't teachers, making more money and honored and celebrated more? And, and it's true. It's like, so many people should be celebrated more. There's so much attention to the famous and the celebrities and all that nonsense. And really at the end of the day, it's nonsense. And that's kind of, again, what I love about this pandemic is it's really kind of the great equalizer. It's really normalizing these people that, we put such a shine to, but really at the end of the day, it's the everyday hero. And I would love to celebrate the everyday hero more and more. And I'd love to have a TV show where, you profile like 3 stories, in an hour. And you go around the country or the world and, I come to your house and you tell your story. And that would be pretty awesome. The only real bummer is, production costs money. Not as much as it used to, but yeah, I mean, there's a real possibility there, and it's something that I've been mulling over quite a bit. So yeah, I'm hoping to kind of do something like that. I would love to tell more human interest stories and more documentaries like the one about my sister. Yeah. Anyway, great question. Thank you. What about you? I have to at least ask you. We don't have time for everybody, but you asked the question, so we'll right back at you. What would you do if money, time, pandemic wasn't an issue? What's your dream?
Oh man, I don't know. I feel like I would just, if I had unlimited money, I would just give it away to everybody. And if you want to follow me around and, buy a silly board game for somebody to lift their spirits, like I did for Jess and Amy this week. There was a Kenny G Keeping It Sexy game. So, it's like, oh, this is like a $7 game, but it's going to lift their spirits. So I think like the idea of doing little things like that, leaving some homemade bread on somebody's doorstep, like I would do that all day, every day.
Oh my God, I love that answer. Wow. Well, that's brilliant. And look, it doesn't take a lot of money to make people smile.
No,
So,
it doesn't.
and you're absolutely right.
Doesn't at all.
Keep leaving those loaves of breath in the Kenny G saxophone game or whatever.
I sent out COVID cards to people instead of Christmas cards. So
it's brilliant. I think that's awesome. Yeah, really just wonderful. Wonderful. All right, so who's next?
We have Nicole up next.
Hi, Nicole.
Oh, here I am.
Oh, there
Sorry,
you go.
I'm gonna unmute, and I just appreciate being a part of this, and really appreciate the opportunity for Amy to invite me. And as some of you know, I work in marketing for a local agency in Buffalo, and my task is to tell the good stories through this pandemic. I'm actually told not to tell the bad stuff that's happening. So, and unfortunately, I hear a lot more about the bad stuff versus the good stuff. So my goal is to try and share the good things with the local press. And, sometimes that's challenging because not everybody is able to share their story or willing, but I'm really hoping that I can work on that more in the upcoming weeks.
Well, I have an idea, and you don't have to run with it, but I think everybody on this Zoom should send like your happiest or sweetest story to Nicole, and maybe she can do a little compilation. And you guys have to either, if you haven't done it yet already, maybe you can come up with something like, like you said, just buying that game. That's an awesome story. Like, I wish I was rolling there, because I would have started my TV show with your story and you and your dog and hat and just that, because I think there's something so lovely to that. But yeah, maybe you guys can share some stuff like that with Nicole, and she can do a little profile piece of the little things that we're all trying to do to make the world a better place,
Yeah. Happy to work on that. And I don't want to be a downer, but hopefully my husband's not being too loud, because now we're supposed to be starting a Zoom with some friends.
Oh, no, it's okay. Yeah. Listen,
at 9.
give the family my best.
So great seeing you, Brian. And I hope that next time you come to Buffalo, we can get together and hang out and catch up.
I would love that. I would love that. We'll make.
I want more people to see Kelly's Hollywood. So anything I can do.
Oh, we thank you, love. And you guys have been,
care.
you and the museum.
Right.
You might be extraordinary. I'll see you later.
Bye-bye.
Give my best to your family.
Bye.
Bye.
Take care, Nicole.
Take care.
And then Greg,
So
did you want to close this out?
Is that Gray?
Yep. Hey, Brian. I'm Greg. I'm from outside of Buffalo here, between Buffalo and Rochester.
Nice to meet you, man.
You too, sir. I'm coming from an outsider of the arts, but I was born with a birth defect called spina bifida.
Oh yeah, I know spina bifida.
Okay.
Yeah.
And I previously had a job as a disability rights advocate, actually for a company that is in Buffalo called Independent Living. I'm sure that you got them out there too.
Yeah.
In California. I was just impressed with your comments of using the word differently abled instead of handicap or the R word that we don't like at all. So I just wanted to convey that to you.
Well, thank you for that. But yeah, I mean, the language has changed, right? and it's evolved like everything else, and languages do change. They're organic and grow, and and hopefully represent a better a better identifier, right? And I think again, the perfect world would be we're all humans, and someday maybe there won't be labels and we won't even need words to describe. But yeah, I mean, and look, I'm thrilled with the new languages, and I think there's yeah, I mean, again, I mean, the goal is that we don't have to identify anybody in any specific way. It would be awesome if we were all just beautiful humans. But yeah, man, thank you for that, and thank you for your advocacy work. It's again, I mean, you guys are the ones that have moved the mountains. You guys are the ones that are pushing the line forward and making it easier for everyone. So thank you for all your efforts. Hi, Amy. I can see your face again. Were you always here? Or did
I
you
was
just put
always here. I let them. They're the boss. I just hang back. And anytime you want to do a documentary about inclusive, we're in.
Ah, that would be awesome.
would
That
be
would be so awesome.
It's definitely a story, let me tell you.
Yes. Yes.
Thank you so much for being here tonight. I mean, and we got the time difference and all of the things. So thank you for being so.
I know it's getting late there. But thank you guys. Thank you
This was
everyone
awesome.
for joining. And
This was great.
so much. If you've seen the film, thank you so much for supporting the film and Kelly's Hollywood and my sister and our journey too. I really appreciate your support and
Thanks for
you
the
know, thanks again,
inspiration.
guys. Buffalo will always be near and dear to my heart, and Jess and Amy are dear friends, and I can't thank you guys enough for having me. And yeah, right there. Anyway, much love. Happy Saturday night, and let's do this again someday. And hopefully, I mean, I'm due. I'm way overdue for a Buffalo trip. I was hoping to score one this spring, in fact, because I had a speaking tour and I was going to stop in Buffalo, just to see family and friends. But hopefully that'll happen this year. And if it does, I'll let you guys all know. And we'll have to have a get together if you're not in the midst of rehearsals or performance. We'll
make it work anyway. Either way.
Yeah.
It'd be great to see you. Yep.
Yeah. Well, thank you so much, everyone. It was really wonderful meeting you guys all.
You too.
You too, Brian.
See you, man.
Nice to meet you.
Yeah. Happy Saturday night.
All right, you too.
Keep those
You
dreams
too.
alive, no matter how
Mario.
small they are. Keep those dreams alive.
Yes. Yes.
All right. And
Take
perform.
care. Stay safe.
All right.
Bye, guys.
Brian.
Bye, everybody.
Bye.
Night.
Good night, guys.
Thanks, Brian.
Thank you, Amy.
Thank you, Amy.
Nice seeing you guys.
Thanks, Amy.
Love you all. Be safe and well.
Hey, Mario.
Hey, Marilyn.
How you doing?
I'm good. I'm
Good to see you.
Thank you.
Good night.
Need a
Good night,
haircut.
everybody. I'm gonna go watch Lady Gaga.
Yes.
Yeah.